It's lights out and away we go!
What's up, guys and girls, and welcome back to the GT UK F1 podcast. I am joined by David.
Hello everyone, welcome.
So, it's
LaSalle.
an interesting weekend at Qatar.
Very interesting, like I said. As I said, in Advantage, I actually saw a lot more of it than I normally do. Just timings worked for me.
So, there was I was going to say something, and I completely forgot. It was just going to be basically something like, you know, an eventful weekend with crashes and unexpected
Results, championship deciders. It was a good weekend of motorsport. We had a bit of everything, really.
And unfortunately some driver illnesses, but we'll get into that one.
And some very lackluster champagne.
It was rose water, wasn't it?
I know, but it really didn't work, did it?
It didn't.
But anyway, let's start at the beginning. So obviously, going into it, the first time we've been at LaSalle since 2021. And the first thing that hit everyone was the dust. I said I got a cracking comment from Science in free practice 1, the only practice session of the weekend, on how his dad would have been fast there, which I thought was a cracking comment.
Yeah. Well, it was dusty for the fact that
Dust and Wind. It sounds like the title of my autobiography.
The sand and the fact that they'd done something rather bizarre, which I didn't think they would have done. They resurfaced the entire track.
Yeah, it was all fresh tarmac, wasn't it, which was part of the problem. Part of the problem we'll get on to regarding curbs and stuff at times.
I mean, okay, I get that, you know, LaSalle is a MotoGP track. Through and through. That's why it is the way it is, it seems.
Yeah, because MotoGP really dislike big curbs and that for obvious reasons. They'll send motorbikes flying.
And I mean, it is an interesting track.
It's got the potential to be really good, and somehow to me doesn't
live up.
It reminds me a lot of the Bahrain outer loop.
Yeah.
Remember that outer loop we only ran for 1 year, that like sub 1 minute? Because it's got the potential to be a really, really fast track, because basically there's only one slow corner, the rest are sweeping bends. There's next to no elevation change.
It's flat, isn't it?
There's like 4 meters.
Oh, right, okay.
Of elevation change. You compare that to somewhere like Spa.
Well, yeah, that's true. Or Austria.
But you know, it's got the potential. I don't know. I mean, it's back next year, but we're also doing it later next year, which they're hoping might be better for conditions.
I mean, we'll obviously get on to that side of things, but I think there's a couple of factors that had played into all this with this entire weekend. Well, from the entire certain race session, anyways. And I wanted to. I want to start off with Ferrari, even in FP1. Well, sorry, even in the only practice session.
Yeah, free practice.
Bar the little 10-minute thing, but we'll get onto that. Ferrari did not. That car didn't look happy.
No, it didn't. It didn't seem to be.
Got caught out by the wind. It seemed to get caught. A couple of cars got caught out by the wind quite a bit. But the Ferrari just looked unstable.
Yeah, the Ferrari's unstable. Ferrari was also suffering quite by the hands of the fact that McLaren have come out the block so well.
Yeah, so Aston
And
Martin.
I've no doubt. Aston Martin had a. Aston Martin didn't have the race that, like I say, the fact that the reason McLaren have come out suddenly to turn that car around. Obviously Mercedes had a lot of potential this weekend that didn't get realised.
I mean, well, I can't say they didn't. I can't say they didn't have much pace because I mean, in practice one they were second and third on the timesheets, but they still struggled.
Never read practice before. Never read good. Never read a lot into practice.
No, I'm not. But from what I saw of the Ferrari, it just didn't seem. You know what I mean? Just didn't seem like.
They've had this problem at very fast circuits. So I mean, the Ferrari's obviously a handling car.
Yeah,
It's not a straight line speed car.
Didn't seem planted. You had obviously previous race. It seemed more planted than
Japan's a lot twistier, a lot.
Going forward. Circa quarter, it'll be planted a bit more, I would say. But
Brazil probably a bit more. Mexico to an extent. Mexico I'd say is faster than Cota, but
but going back to Monza, the Ferrari was solid.
yeah, but they have to be. They're always going to be in front of Monza. There's no way they can't be.
No, I know, but they were solid at Monza. But this weekend, Ferrari have struggled, and unfortunately, only one Ferrari ended up starting the race. But we will come on to that.
Yeah.
But it was something to do with fuel, I think.
Couldn't cure a fuel leak or something, apparently.
But you know what I mean, because even in practice, the McLarens weren't looking strong, but I reckon the McLarens were holding back.
They were playing long, because the trouble with only one practice session is you can't physically do everything.
No.
So obviously McLaren, judging by their time and everything, were prioritising longer runs.
They were probably prioritising the longer runs and getting the setup right.
Which will pay you back in the race, hopefully.
And yeah, it was quite. It was a bit bleh for a practice session. Always is when it's only one practice session.
Yeah, because you end up having to figure out what you want to do because you just can't do everything. It's that simple.
No. And I mean, that's why I don't usually watch. I tend to just watch qualifying and.
I just happened to get lucky that I saw practice because I happened to be at home at the time it was on. I don't go out my way to watch practice sessions, but the timing fell nicely.
Yeah. Because
the amount of dust on the circuit due to lack of use was just insane.
Well, yeah, and obviously the climate that it is, and
the fact that it is so flat.
Yeah. But shall we move to qualifying?
Yeah, because practice there was not.
There's not much, was there?
Well, like I say, I'd say as much as I can read into like a Haas in 7th, Lewis in 13th. I say practice to me, I just don't read a lot into.
No.
I said there's a reason they don't give points out for it.
I mean, then we move on to Q1. This is for the
And-
race, we might add, because it was sprint weekend. The alpha males weren't too good, were they?
No, obviously at this point we started to learn about the issues as well of track limits and the problems that were following from that.
How did they do? Was it between qualifying and no? It was between qualifying and sprint, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They'd done that other thing.
Yeah, they changed one of the curves and they made little further changes later on before the race, which we'll get into at the time. But
Hmm. But yeah, no, there was just
yeah, I know both McLarens fell foul of
track
track
limits,
limits.
which unfortunately, yeah, which was a shame because you know they were on form.
Well, I think we can safely say that it worked out for them in the end.
It did.
Let's be honest, I can't see them if they hadn't have done. I can't have seen them finishing a lot better than they did.
Okay, that's interesting. So I'm looking at the results page here for qualifying.
Yeah,
Why's Lando got DNF by his?
because I think he did 2 fast laps and they both got deleted.
Oh right, okay, so that was.
So he made it into Q3. He was the 10th car, but I think the two lap times he managed to do both got deleted.
Alright, fair enough.
So he never takes set.
Yeah, I was just wondering why he got a DNF by. He was the only one.
Mm.
Because I'm thinking, oh no, he didn't crash out.
Plus, you used to get it. We don't see so much anymore. Do you remember we used to get sometimes where cars would get to Q3 and then not bother setting a time
Hmm.
because you're guaranteed to drop no lower than 10th anyway, unless you start changing components.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit of a shock. It was a shock to see Carlos go out in Q1. Sorry, Q2.
Mm.
Shocked to see Carlos going out Q2. It was a shock. That's kind of a shock to
Carlos
see
and Perez.
Perez go out.
Perez is continuing, defending him, getting harder and harder, innit? And that's the problem. He's really outpaying himself with glory at the moment.
And yeah, but the problem is he needs to. He needs to
I don't know.
stop chucking the championship points away.
Yeah.
He's P2 in a goddamn championship.
I mean, Horner still came out and said he's still fully behind him, didn't he? But you don't know we know about Red Bull. We know what they can be like.
I think Horner's behind him. I just think it's a certain
Your best friend.
person that needs to basically keep his nose out and let Horner decide. If Horner wants to decide that Perez isn't good enough, Horner makes the call, not him. I hope he doesn't show his face at Mexico. Oh, actually,
Yeah,
no, I do. Then he gets lynched. Then they don't let him leave Mexico.
as I think we said before, I think he's Red Bull. If they do to drop him, they haven't got many options right now. But
Well, no, because they can't stick Lawson in. Well, they could. I mean, Lawson's a reserve driver.
I don't think he's ready for top car yet. As much as he's done well, as much as I really like the guy, he's not ready for the main car yet. Their only option end of season will be to try and poach somebody.
Lando.
Or Oscar.
I would more say Lando.
Lando's got the experience there. Lando, I will agree with you. But I also think you probably pick Oscar up a little cheaper.
Possibly, but there's.
And he's young enough that you could sort of mould him a little bit.
Yeah, but the dynamic between Lando and Max is there.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. Both will be. Let's be honest. Any team on that grid right now has got to look at them two McLaren boys and think, there's two future champions there.
Yeah.
100%. give them a car. One of them's going to hand you a championship.
Yeah.
It depends on what you want to spend and how much money you'd have to waft under Zach Brown's nose before he entertained talking to you.
Red Bull aren't shy of the money though if they wanted to.
Oh,
Because
Red Bull have the money.
because I think, like I said, I think Albon let it slip that apparently Horner had said something to him.
I'm not 100% sure what is Albon's position now, because he's still sponsored by Red Bull, and he's still got Red Bull sponsorship,
Mm,
but he's not officially part of the Red Bull Academy anymore.
no.
I still don't think Mercedes would have him. I still think they'd feel he was too close. As much as his performances in that Williams have been superb,
Mm,
I still don't think they'd have him in the top flight car. But, because as I said before, this is the other one. Merck have Hamilton guaranteed till the end of next season. Where's their future?
they don't really have one, do they? Because I don't think you don't know if Mick's ready.
Mick isn't. Mick needs at least one more season in actually racing.
You know,
Now,
you've got
I was gonna bring this up possibly a little bit later, but as much as I'll save this till the race because it's got more race implications.
but you know, Quali was
Probably was Red Bull doing what they do. Mercedes 2-3, which I don't think even they really saw coming.
well,
Which I think they're gonna look back in hindsight and wish they didn't have, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, but they weren't gonna get that because that would have gotten the McLaren. If the McLaren hadn't have,
Yeah, if poor Oscar didn't have it ripped away from him.
yeah, and and Lando, they'd have been second and third.
Yeah, the Mercs did that. Alonso to Leclerc.
I mean, fair play to Alonso, but
Yeah, 2 Alpine to the top 10's pretty solid as well. They've had a bit of a turbulent season. To see both of them firmly in the top 10 along with Valtteri.
yeah, that's what I mean. Bottas though. The problem is, I don't want to say Guan Yu Zhou's days are numbered because
They're both re-signed, aren't they, for next year?
they've both re-signed, and
I think the only seat that isn't confirmed at this point is the second Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
no, they announced him. They announced Sargent for 2024.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
We put it in chat. We put it in PlayStation chat.
Possibly, mate. I must have missed that. That's just me.
Yeah, no, they announced Sargent for 20.
So does that mean we've got a complete list then?
Yep. That's everybody for 2024. Like I said, Danny's going back into the AlphaTauri, which I like. You know, I'm with Danny. I like Danny Ricciardo, but
I was gonna say you'll be happy with that deal. I personally, I'm nothing against him. I just don't see.
do I sound happy in my voice about that? I would have rather have seen Lawson there, if I'm honest. But
I'm not seeing every link I'm bringing up here for 2024 list is not showing Sargent as confirmed. It's showing a TBC on the second Williams driver.
it's
Sorry, folks, to run off topic here.
On the I've got to basically. I'm just having a
Scrolling up the chat, yeah, I'm doing the same.
Don't mean to go radio silent here.
So, folks, yeah, we're both just sort of reading. Yeah, I'm not. Every list I've gone into 3 separate websites, and all 3 of them are showing Williams as second driver still TBC.
I wish I could.
Anyway, we'll skip on with that for now until we
Yeah.
can.
And
But then after qualifying, of course, we get
sprint
the
shootout.
sprint shootout, which I actually managed to catch. I think it was highlights of that. Really, I didn't see the full thing.
I still don't friggin' fully understand it.
I still like the old system where the sprint race set the grid.
Mm.
I think that was a better system. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for more racing to an extent. I mean, I personally, I really like Crofty's idea that you make it so the sprint race has to be reserve drivers.
Yeah.
I'd be looking at that if it was me,
Oh yeah.
because then we've given reserve guys track time.
Mm.
But at the same time, I don't make decisions for the FAA yet, so.
So glad you don't make decisions for the FIA.
Why? I'd make it fun.
Yeah, I know. Very inconsistent.
Oh, thanks.
We'll get on to that one. Well, it's just. And what I will also say, this is an off note, but this is a good off note. I don't know if you caught any of the race build up. I know this is jumping forward a bit.
I didn't catch a lot of it, no, because I'll be honest with you, I was jumping between that and touring cars.
Alright, so did you see Jess Hawkins? Jess.
The Jess Hawkins driving the.
In the Aston Martin.
No, but I've heard of what went on. I've seen.
Yeah, but just apparently, you know, Nico Rosberg knew her lap times, but wasn't going to say anything. And I mean, fair play. If I would love to, you'd love to see a woman in F1.
I've said it at the time. I mean, I was actually, I forgot the name. I was talking about that. I mean, there was Jamie Chadwick dominated W Series.
Yeah, but Chadwick's in IndyCar.
Yeah, but the point I'm making, she dominated that W Series for the whole time it was on.
Yeah.
Couldn't compete at F3 level. The second there is a credible female option for F1, teams will be falling over themselves. Because the amount of good press you will get.
Well, what do you think? Yeah, but Jessie's part of Aston Martin side of things.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's also done a bit of touring car racing.
Hmm.
You got Jade Edwards in the touring cars, who I believe I think she could be asked in as well. Certainly got links with one of them. Now, the second there is a credible female driver who can compete at F1 level, they'll get red carpeted into the sport.
Hmm.
Because the teams want the publicity, the positive publicity you'll get off that will be unreal. But unfortunately, there isn't.
Well, Jess, like during the sort of the winter period, has said that she's going to try and get the sponsorships and all that stuff together to go into F2. I mean, if she does that, fair play. She can do it.
Yeah, and if she does that, and if she can compete,
yeah,
then she's going to be one step closer to full-time F1.
Mm.
Don't forget, we have had women F1 drivers. Even quite a few years ago, there have been a couple of been officially classified, but none have ever. Because actually, I did a bit of research on this. Obviously, the last sort of big name was Susie Wolff, who was test driver for Williams for a couple of years.
Well, you know who that is, though, don't you?
Toto's wife.
Hmm.
Yeah, desk smasher himself.
Bet. I'd love to. I would have loved for him to be in guitar, but.
Yeah, but he still managed to appear on the radio, didn't he? Even from wherever he was.
Mm.
But I can imagine both headphones went flying.
Yeah.
Anyway, to talk about sprint shootout now, obviously the surprise there was the two McLarens. Stop Max getting another perfect weekend.
Yeah. They were quick. There wasn't a lot in it though.
Oh no, the gaps you're talking 24.4, 24.5, 24.6. But still, Max has had so many clean sweep weekends.
Mm.
Every session, top car, top car, top car, quality race. And they kept him from that, both of them. And Oscar coming out ahead of Lando as well, which is great sign for the young lad.
Yeah.
Must be gutting for Norris, like, 'cause I'm going to come on to that a little bit very soon, but Norris must be a little
Yeah.
gutted. I mean, I've sat here before and talked about Norris having like the ultimate bridesmaid syndrome.
Oh yeah.
He seems to have been so close to victories and not quite managed that last little bit so many times. And whether
but
you class a sprint victory as the same as a race victory or not, it's person to person.
still points.
Personally, it still goes down as a victory. The record books will still show it as a victory.
But
Oscar has a win.
yeah, I know.
Lando doesn't yet, which has got to sting Lando a little bit. I'm sure he's happy for Oscar and the team, but he's got to sting a little bit in the background.
Yeah, but I mean, even if we get into the sprint,
The one thing I will say about the sprint was the amount of cars going off and the amount of
mm,
incidents. Like, I thought if that's setting us up for the race, it could be a very interesting race.
yeah. Well, obviously we had the what was it, the 10-minute sighter before the sprint because
Of the change he'd made to the track.
they bought the track.
Well, the curb inward slightly. Well, the curb is painted. It wasn't a real curb paint, but they actually brought it inwards, didn't they, slightly?
Yeah, which I don't get. I
They were
don't.
worried about the tyres when he was trying to reduce the speed and also reduce the amount of load time on the outer tyre. That's why I ended up with the lap limit on the race, which I'm going to come to on the race because that gave a very interesting dynamic to the race.
I wasn't keen on that, but I'll get into that later.
I think we could be on different sides of that fence by the sounds of it. It could be fun.
But it was just like
Yeah, the amount of cars we saw throwing it off, and it's something we've not seen a lot of this season. We've had a lot of very clean driving. Obviously, poor Lawson was the first one to do it. I transfer him into my fantasy league within doing that final fix thing. Within about half an hour of me doing that, the bugger's in a gravel trap. I'm like, I'm just a fucking kiss of death here.
Yeah, I mean, Sargent didn't classify.
I think he spun out as well, didn't he? And then Perez, Ocon, and Hulkenberg. You've got to feel bad for Perez on that one.
He was
He did.
I'm sorry,
He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
he was a passenger.
And I tell you what, his heart must have been in his mouth because he did it during the race again, went 3 wide with a couple of others, didn't he?
Mm.
And he must have been thinking, oh, fuck, here we go again.
Yeah.
I will have to say, though, congratulations to Max. 3rd World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
I've said it before, whether you're a Max fan or not, I am not particularly. I didn't want to see a championship so dominant, but you have to stand back and admire the fact that that car and that driver is perfect. Or as near to it as you are going to get.
You can't.
Like I said, I just personally feel that. I mean, you look back at the Hamilton era. I'm a Hamilton fan. We don't need to specify that. You still have to look back at that era domination and think, right, well, that car was brilliant. The driver was good, and we're seeing that again.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Now, are we going to see this for the next 2 years till 2026?
Who knows?
Well, McLaren are hunting them down strong. Let's be honest here. I think the McLaren car is actually slightly stronger.
That's what
I just think Max is out driving
he's out
everybody.
The car. I mean, does that make Red Bull worry? I mean, they look at how that McLaren has been,
I don't think they're worried. Well, they're not worried for this year because everything's done this year, are they? And they're already
No.
working flat out on 2024.
But I mean, for next year,
Uh,
are they worried a little bit about that McLaren?
I don't think Red Bull are the worrying type. They'll turn up at first race. I don't think they need to worry about being miles off the pace.
No.
Now, if it does turn out that McLaren come out of the box a bit stronger, then they give them a bit of work to do. I actually think I get the impression the likes of Horner will enjoy the competition.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what I've always said. I want competition. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm not a particular Red Bull fan. In fact, but I would have liked to have seen if it got to the point where we got to the last race and there was 3 cars, 3 drivers could still win it. That's what I want to see.
For the sprint race, we had the likes of Liam Lawson, Logan Sargent, Perez,
Ocon, and Hulkenberg
Ocon,
retired,
and Hulkenberg.
and we saw safety cars during a sprint race.
Yeah, which I kind of think that's what helped Oscar a little bit.
Oh, definitely, because the soft tyre guys, it's when we discovered that the soft tyres were graining like shit, weren't they?
The soft tyres were crap. They weren't lasting. I mean, yeah, George led for a little bit, but then soft tyres just basically had him, and and this is what I mean, the Mercedes strategy call. Obviously, they wanted to keep track position and not lose out. It worked, but he got swallowed up by a couple of people. And both the Mercedes finished in the points in the sprint race. I mean, the last person who got a point was
Fernando
Alonso.
Albon there in 7th. Williams.
That Williams was, well, sorry.
The Williams is an average car. The Williams is an average car. Albon's just frigging amazing at just coaxing it round.
No, but this is what I mean. The Williams is, like you say, it's average.
It looks fantastic.
It did, and
if points for livery, I'd have given it to them.
Yeah, but that's the last time we'll see that one now.
Oh, I just hope that means the merge comes up on the clearance sale.
Because it's the last. that was the last race for that livery for the Go Bold.
The Go Bold, it's proper Gulf livery.
Yeah.
It's real Gulf colours.
I mean, the sprint was interesting.
The sprint was very interesting. Like I say, we had the disasters. We had the
one thing I forgot about qualifying. Sorry to go back. Do you know what I'm meaning here?
No, I don't. You have to fill me in on this one.
Stroll. Lance Stroll pushing either was it his personal trainer?
I never saw that. That must have been the qualifying session I didn't see.
They showed it live on air.
No, I never saw that.
It was 17th. It was a proper quali one.
Yeah, I actually never saw that.
Yeah, Stroll was pissed. I mean, really pissed. The fact
that I honestly think there's a lot of pressure mounting behind Stroll right now.
Because go
on, you go ahead.
He got out of the car. The guy had said to him, pointed to go to the left side of the garage or whatever, to the back of the left. But he literally just, as they go out of that doorway at the back, Literally pushed him there.
Alright, yeah, I never
Pushed
saw
him that way. Then when he went to the pen, Kimmy must have been proud.
Just said nothing.
Was it Rachel that usually does the interviews in the pen? Basically,
Could be, yeah.
she turned around and said to Lance, "How you feeling?" And he turned around and said, "Shit." He was no.
Was that a bit like Oscar at the end of the race? I think dropped a swear word.
Oscar only
Crofty had to. But to be fair,
Oscar only said crap.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's Australian. I mean, they use the C word as a term of endearment.
Mm.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
yeah,
I mean, it can't be as bad as Ocon after the. I'll get onto that one, but then.
There was always the classic Scott McLaughlin in Australian touring car shouting "F yes." He got in the middle of an interview when he got his first win. That was a good one for PR. I remember PR covering that one up.
No, but you know what I mean. It was just like.
Yeah, while we're on the subject of Stroll, though, Alex, am I the one who feels like there is so much pressure behind him right now because he's not performing? 100% he's not performing. Fernando is showing what that car's capable of. And I'm not saying that you're going to be able to be at Fernando Alonso's level because despite his age, he is still sharp as.
Yeah.
But Lance, I mean, I shared that meme, I think, to the chat, didn't I? Of somebody getting thrown out the window for suggesting replacing Lance.
I think it's time. I'm sorry, but
he's not performing, and
his days have got to be numbered. Just because Daddy owns the team.
Yeah. Now the trouble is, if I was Stroll, and don't get me wrong, Stroll's got to realise himself. I think he's got to turn around and say, "Look, it's not working. I need to step back."
But what would they do? Where would they go? I mean, the only person they can go to is Drugovich, really, at this point.
Drugovich, Vettel back. Imagine Vettel and Alonso in a team together.
I think Vettel's a bit busy with his.
Yeah, but did you not hear that interview when he was asked about like a return, and he didn't say no?
I know he didn't. No, he didn't say no.
You know, and
I mean,
you could. I mean, you go Drugovich, or you then speak to Merck and maybe get Mick in there. Mick with Fernando to give him a few pointers and a bit of advice.
I suppose.
Give him a year in that Aston. If he can be maybe not as good as Fernando, but if he can at least be knocking on the back door of Q3, then he could be ready for a Merck seat a couple of years down the line.
It's a possibility.
I mean, I talked last time about the power struggle that's going on in Mercedes right now.
That's going to get even worse. I mean,
you know what I mean?
You know,
but that's me, and it's like, and I get it's difficult, but I mean, I was going to come on to this about Sargent. I mean,
you know,
I'm not gonna hold against him. Oh, go on, you go ahead. I'll bring this up later.
You know, you've got Alonso sitting there in 4th position right now with 183 points.
Yeah.
And you have Lance Stroll sitting in 10th with about 47.
Yeah, you've got Aston Martin being very rapidly closed on by McLaren in the constructors.
I mean, yes, the constructors is done, Red Bull, but
yeah, but the constructors is not done. The winner is done.
No, the winner is done. You know, the constructors is done in terms of.
There's only 11 points between McLaren and Aston.
This is what I mean. The battles.
There's only Aston are only 68 off Ferrari. We've got enough races left that's not an insurmountable goal.
No, it's not.
And the prize money difference between 3rd and 5th.
Oh yeah.
Is huge. I know the Stroll family isn't short of money.
I mean,
But still, in an era when balancing the books is such a big thing in F1,
yeah, but what makes you laugh is this year now, no team this year is on 0 points.
AlphaTauri actually finally have more points than drivers.
Yeah.
I still love that statistic. AlphaTauri had at one point had 4 drivers and only 3 points.
Mm.
But no, just yet, no team on 0 points. That's good to see. That's a sign that maybe that paints the championship that every car on the grid is capable of scoring points, and that's a great position.
Well, yeah, because obviously Williams has got points. Williams didn't don't think got points last year.
I mean, Alpine are what 190. Alpine are only 140 points behind Aston Martin. It's very, very unlikely, but that is not uncatchable with the system we've got left.
Yeah. So if I look at the 2022 constructors, Williams. Oh no, they did. They scored 8 points last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Then 2021.
But look at Aston Martin down there on 55 in 7th.
Yeah. Haas got nothing in 2021.
But that was the year when Haas really were just rebuilding.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Haas.
I mean, the year before that, Williams didn't get anything. So it is.
But Haas in even last year, Haas got points.
Yeah. Oh well, last year the Haas looked a credible threat, didn't it? The Haas suddenly came out of the blocks.
But this year's, it's been, I kind of want to say unlucky.
Yeah, it's been the decision to go to 2 experienced drivers to me has maybe not been what they hoped it would be.
No.
Now I still stand by what I've said in the past. I don't credit all of that with the Haas being the bad car as much as I credit the likes of Williams, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo to have suddenly jumped forward. Yeah, Haas's car hasn't gone backwards. It's just in this constant development war we have. Everyone else has gone forwards more.
Yes, but
Aston Martin was so strong at the start of the season and just have been caught. Big style.
Yeah. But they probably the Haas probably have maybe not as much money to choke.
Oh, they don't. They don't. I mean,
Developments.
Just think of the business. I mean, Haas in general is not that big a company unless you happen to know a lot of American racing. You've only even heard of the Haas name. I know they're big in IndyCar and stuff, but other than that, you think every other. Okay, maybe if you're not an F1 fan, the name Williams might not be 100% McLaren, but Alpine, Renault, Aston Martin, Ferrari. You think the big companies, Red Bull, they're big companies.
Yeah, well,
Haas aren't.
If you're an F1 fan, and you think of Red Bull, well, what do you think of? What would you think of? Either the air racing or the energy drink.
The air racing, the soapbox derby.
Yeah.
And the fact that in pretty much every form of competitive sport, Red Bull have a hand in it. You know what I mean? In pretty much anything, any sport you go to, there will be a Red Bull sponsored competitor. If not a team. They really do push a lot into stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of the empty can on my desk. I am not drinking them at the moment, which might cause the team problems next year.
I haven't had one for a while either.
I finished the pack I had and I've knocked them on the head for a little while. It was one of them situations where I could tell it was starting to get. I was drinking them a bit too much.
No, I had a pack of watermelon and a pack of original Red Bull and gone through them and I've not had them since.
Yeah. But anyway, so I mean, if we're going to, while we're talking Haas, this is actually a good opportunity to shoehorn in. It's not race related, but what do you think of this Cadillac Andretti situation?
That's what I was about to bring up, actually.
I've been trying to think of where I might have brought this up at the end. I was thinking, where do I bring this up?
Yeah. Well, is it not GM? Or is it Cadillac as well?
They put it under the Cadillac name, but I
Oh,
think
right,
that's all
okay.
part of General Motors. In the
So,
same way that Renault rebranded as Alpine the other year, isn't it? It's all part of.
yeah, I mean, okay, so we will, I think, basically, knock the
But
sprint side of things.
we'll take an interval here to talk about this, and then we'll get back into probably the main race in
Mm,
5 minutes. But
yeah.
this is such big news in the F1 world, we can't not touch on it.
No.
I mean, I will start by prefacing that for as far back as I can remember, the name Andretti has sniffed around F1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can remember back into like the early 2000s, and
Mm.
the Andretti name was being mentioned and was being touted. Now,
I mean,
obviously, we know we've got these other manufacturers coming in. We've got Audi coming in. We've got Ford coming in.
yeah.
F1's in a great place right now. It's attracting business,
Yeah.
which as a fan is amazing to see because that's security.
But, so, with the Andretti thing, I mean, my thoughts on it, okay, yeah, man, maybe it'll be a good
I mean,
thing. I mean, yes, it's an extra team on the
don't
grid.
get me wrong.
It
More
it unevens the grid.
well, if it's two cars, that my issue I put in the chat to you guys. My concerns with it. Some of your smaller tracks,
Monaco.
can they take another team?
Monaco, you mean?
Well, not just Monaco. There's two or three others, especially some of your old school circuits.
Imola, possibly.
Have they got the garage space and the space for an extra team?
Yeah.
There's a reason why some forms of motorsport have limited. Because touring cars is a good example.
Mm.
Touring cars won't go more than 32 cars because that's the most that any track in England will take.
Yeah. I mean,
Don't get me wrong, they could probably fill a 50-car grid if they wanted to with people who want to be in it. But you get to Brands Hatch now from every work out in the car park.
mm. I mean,
And
they do have some spare because obviously they'd been chucking the Apex in the spare.
yeah, but they only do that particular circuits. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of the circuits will have enough space because the FIA have 3 or 4 to themselves
Well,
that they could probably thin down if they needed
yeah,
to.
well, that's what I mean. I mean, there is one garage for the cameras.
But it varies circuits. It's like some Monaco. I'm trying to think of like your old school circuits.
Imola.
Imola, Suzuka.
No, I think Suzuka will.
You know,
You know, you've got
yeah,
Red Bull,
Zandvoort could be an issue.
Zandvoort, Red Bull Ring.
If they've got the space, and it's the space, it's the garage space. It's the space for the extra equipment, the extra trucks, the extra command center. I mean, you've seen them big things that they put up around the back of garages on European legs.
Mm.
You know, it's knowing they've got the space for all of that. I don't get me wrong. I'd love to see it. I would love to see another team because it's
I mean,
two more spaces for drivers. It's
yeah. I mean, a lot of the other thing with the teams is, you know, okay, well, it's gonna be sharing out there's more
yeah, the teams are
the
concerned
prize
that then
money,
you're sharing out the money pot 11 ways instead of 10.
but Andretti technically would have to pay a 200 million entry fee
And the thing is,
to get
if they
into
put a bid together,
F1.
they've got that worked out.
Yeah. You know, you've got the 200 million F1 theme. F1 theme. You've got 200 million to come into F1,
Theme.
right? So, you know, either some of that 200 million or all of that 200 million then goes into prize money. That's the compensate. There's the compensation.
Yeah.
Because I believe Ferrari is not happy about it.
Ferrari have always been the troublemakers in that, though. Ferrari have always been the
Not sure on the Red Bull side of things. Don't know how they. I think McLaren welcomes them because obviously McLaren faced them anyways in IndyCar.
Well, Haas are probably going to welcome because it's a fellow Americans.
Yeah.
It's another American, which is once again further on to what I've said before. Of one thing Liberty Media seem to have done amazing is made F1 break America. They've introduced Americans to right-hand turns, and they seem to be taking it. You know what I mean? Fair play to Liberty. Say what you like about them, whether you like them or not. They have managed to push F1 into America hard.
Well, yeah, obviously you got the likes of, you got the likes of Vegas coming up.
I mean, now America have their driver. They have Logan,
Yeah.
which is going to be helping promote in the same way that look how since Max got successful, look how F1 in Holland, in the Netherlands, took off. But the Dutch Grand Prix only came back, I think, because of the success of Max.
Oh yeah.
And the sudden massive spike in popularity in Netherlands. You were like, right, well, let's capitalise.
I mean, well, it was bringing the money in as well from bringing
Yeah,
the money
no,
into Zambot.
you know, we get two American manufacturers, especially if one of them can be successful. Now, Andretti's not daft.
No.
Andretti knows his motorsport.
Well, yeah.
Now, you wouldn't expect him to be competitive first year, maybe not second year. Because they'd need to find the fit, especially if they're coming in with like new engine, new everything. It's not like they're buying a Merc donkey and they're going to come straight in with pace.
Yeah, no. It's gonna be an unknown for him.
Yeah, but personally, if it works, I welcome it. I just say I have reservations about the logistics of it all. But I feel I've been here before, so I've just watched this space.
Personally, I would. Personally, I don't. Personally, I don't disagree with Andretti coming in. Just have to see how it. Just have to see how it works.
Like I say, if it lines up with Ford coming in, with Audi coming in, it's going to give us so many different manufacturers, give us so many different engine suppliers. I think it'll be the most we've ever had. It's the most for a lot of years.
But yeah, no, we'll see how that pans out. We'll probably hear more.
Yeah.
And
so, shall we hit the race itself?
Yeah.
In the same way the Mercedes hit the first corner?
And I'm going to say we better start with that.
I'm so gutted Alan's not here.
Yeah, so am I, to be honest.
Because I must admit, when I watched that go on, I friggin' jumped up like, wow.
When I saw it, I just went. I just was like, ew.
And unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's 100% Hamilton's fault in my book.
He's admitted it.
Yeah. He just forgot he had a teammate. He just decided to turn across in front of him.
Yeah, but he turned around obviously he turned around and had the audacity to say, "Oh, George just hit me." It's like, well, of course George hit you. You squeezed him.
I mean,
George had nowhere to go.
No, lucky for Max, he didn't get a repeat of what happened to Perez in the sprint.
Yeah.
If he'd have pushed one of the other cars into Max's car,
oof,
that could have been a very different result for the day. But lucky for George that his car actually survived. It, as far as I can tell, with actually next to no damage. Certainly by the way he drove afterwards.
I think he suffered a bit more damage.
Well, he certainly didn't let him slow him down, did he? Because blooming heck, he was mad.
Oh yeah, because I mean it kind of proves how shocking the tires actually are. That impact caused the tire to come off the rim.
Yeah, but it's because it look. Did you not see the shape of the rim?
Oh yeah.
That's why the tire came off. And to be fair, you can't really hold that against the tire manufacturer because that rim was buckled. That rim was free. That rim had a dent in it. Now, yeah, you don't like to see a loose tire carcass because that could hurt somebody.
But it ran.
But
It ran the way. It ran away from.
well, I'm thinking, well, if it managed to catch some air and clear the catch fence, is what always worries me with stuff like that. There was a massive grandstand right where it was heading for.
Oh yeah, no, but it was the gravel. The gravel managed to slow it down.
Mm.
The gravel was
But
actually quite
we're saying
thick.
tires, we probably should have this mandated 18 lap maximum on the tires that the FIA put in because of the stress on the front lefts. I don't know what you made of it personally. I thought it gave us an interesting dynamic.
Personally,
You weren't too impressed.
I didn't like it.
I thought it gave us
yeah,
a
but-
very interesting dynamic.
Yes, but it just made me felt like I was watching qualifying over and over again.
Now, it did give plenty of pit stop practice, and well done to McLaren for that 1.8 second pit stop.
Yeah, but it's quite funny because they turn around and the FIA were like, oh well, the whole point of, we'll slow the pit stops.
Yeah.
Tries to slow the pit stops down, and then McLaren go and do that. It's like,
Well, it's like every year the FIA try and slow the cars down with regulations, and the engineers sidestep it all.
yeah, and it was a bit like that was just a bit of a middle finger to the FIA sort of thing, because that was a hell of a pit stop.
It blows it absolutely blows you. It still to this day blows my mind that car can go a complete stop, have all four tyres changed, and set off quicker than I was able to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it just, yeah, insane.
It's like literally when you saw the pit stop, it was like, right, tire, literally fucking fling the tire where they can. Obviously, the other side's different.
The move to 18s now has made the wheels bigger and heavier, and yet still they're managing to
Yeah, you know what I mean?
throw them in, and it's just, yeah, insane. But yeah, that 18 lap, it gave us like an extra dynamic to deal with.
But
It's something that I would consider them maybe testing at a couple of other circuits.
But to me, like I say, it just felt like watching.
Yeah.
Qualifying over and over again, each stint.
And you think it would it would give you a very interesting sort of conundrum, because if you say, for example, let's say Austria next year, they decide to mandate, right, however laps it be, you have to pick 3 pit stops. They just said, well, that's going to be the rule for that race.
Yeah.
You would have a very interesting sort of conundrum, because going into like qualifying and that, do you start holding back some of your better tyres? Knowing that you're going to need 3 sets during the race.
Yeah, you probably would, because.
And you'd get this really interesting strategy side of things.
Because you've got to think that's why.
Because that was a problem the likes of Hamilton had, because the softs were all but useless out there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
we didn't get to see how far he would have got on the soft tyres.
Well, we did see how far he got, turn 1.
Yeah, but no, but you know what I mean. Past.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But, well, there was somebody else started on softs, wasn't there? It actually doesn't tell me on this list I've got in front of me. There was a couple of others did start on softs, I'm pretty sure. Oh, there was, who was it, Hulkenberg went to the wrong pits. Oh yeah, we should mention Carlos.
Yeah.
Who literally lost his car.
Yeah, he didn't start, unfortunately.
Which I think caused Magnussen to forget and pull into the wrong grid slot.
Yeah, he got done. He got.
Yeah.
What did he get?
Was it a drive-through? Was it a 5-seconder?
Hang on. Perez and Gasly received 3 5-second time penalties for track limits infringement. Stroll and Albon received 2. Why isn't it? So it doesn't even tell me there.
They don't list it there, but he definitely copped some kind of penalty because he was in the wrong grid slot. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Because he forgot he was supposed to leave a space right in front of him.
Yeah. Which is
Obviously, Perez had a shockingly bad race. To be fair to the poor guy.
Yeah, but it's probably easily done.
Oh yeah, you're used to having a car in front of you. And so he suddenly pulls up and he's supposed to leave a gap, and you're that busy thinking of, I need to do 4 burnouts, I need the RPMs at this, I need it in this gear, I need it in this mode, I need the tyres at this temperature.
And then there's obviously the heat. You know what I mean?
The heat, yeah.
Heat. Obviously we'll get on to a couple of other things, but yeah, no. Obviously Carlos didn't start because of fuel pump, was it?
They couldn't. Well, they had because they had to change a part in Leclerc's car as well, didn't they? But they couldn't cure a fuel leak apparently. Now, did he change the energy store in both cars or something like that?
Yeah. But they think it might have been when they were installing that caused an issue. Which
and then they couldn't.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, that'd be gutting for him. But to be honest, I bet after what he's probably witnessed, what he probably saw after the race and stuff like that, I bet he probably
not only that, from the team's point of view, that's a few less miles on that engine.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing in the world to them.
Perez was sporting another engine from his pool, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, he changed power unit, but it was one that was an older unit, so there was no penalty involved. But we're getting towards the nitty-gritty end of the season now. And teams are probably getting low on supplies of stuff. So by saving that mileage, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world to them.
No. You know.
Plus, as you say, Carlos got out of what was an absolute sweatbox.
You know, okay, so we had Logan Sargent didn't finish because...
Which I'll commit that I've this times, and I am not going to hold that retirement against him.
No.
Because them conditions were brutal.
Well, apparently he hadn't been feeling well earlier on in the week.
Yeah. But at the same time, I can understand why he didn't want to retire, because is that going to be almost the final nail in his coffin? Because the whole grid is talking about how he's up against it, he's not performing.
Yeah.
And then to have to retire the car for him, and I don't criticise that for happening, but I understand how he must look and how he must feel.
Well, he said on the radio he didn't want to retire, but then in the end he just got
and this one had to lift him out of the car, didn't it?
Yeah, he got that ill that he physically couldn't continue, I think, in himself. Which, to be honest,
we had Alonso whose biscuits were burning.
Yeah.
Asking him to throw to do the ice bucket challenge mid-race.
I don't see why they couldn't have just chucked a bit of something on him.
Because knowing F1, do you reckon buckets are the kind of thing that's just hanging around a frigging F1 garage?
True.
There's probably stupid sounds. When does F1 need a bucket?
Well, they have an ice bath.
Be a bit big for a mechanic to try and pick up and dump over him.
Yeah.
We had Ocon, who they said threw up in his helmet, which that to me just sounds horrible.
He threw up in his helmet twice.
God, that would finish me. That would.
Turn 15. We had drivers were nearly passing out during the race because of the G's as well as the heat.
Yeah, the likes of Russell and others opening their visor mid-race and...
Yeah, Stroll. I know we sort of little kind of badmouthed him a bit. He literally stumbled out of his car, probably nearly threw up in Parc Ferme, and had to basically went across to the ambulance where he was nearly parked at. It was and because of this was, I think most of this was down to the fact that you had these free pit stops, and the fact that they were just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing every single lap as
Probably
well.
didn't help, yeah. But, what was I gonna...
I mean,
I caught the post-race interview with Russell when they were talking to him about it. It's funny they picked him because he's the head of the drivers'
driver,
union now, isn't he?
yeah.
And it's funny they mentioned to him, was it beyond what should? Oh, so how did they word it? Was it too much?
Hmm.
And he said it was borderline.
Yeah. Well, did you see what he was? Did you see when they showed him
With
literally
his hands above the wheel,
his
yeah.
hands above the wheel? I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Just trying to get some airflow because there's hot air everywhere. It's red hot. There's just trying to get some airflow. So every time I got to pick it up, he was literally opening his visors to try and get some air in.
Yeah.
And don't forget, these are fit guys.
Oh yeah.
If they're suffering that bad, me or you, mate, would have been dead.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that's an offence to you.
Oh no, you had in the bloody cool down room, you had Piastri literally
down,
on the
yeah.
floor.
Max sat down on the floor as well.
Max sat in a corner. How Lando could just keep stood up? Well, he
Well, he
sat
only was
down,
sat on one of the
but
chairs, wasn't he?
you know what I mean? Yeah, but during the interviews, them two was was it Max and Lando sat down, or was it Max and Oscar? I think it might have been Max and Oscar were sat down on
We'll
the
say Oscar was laid
podium
down.
bit,
He then turned round so he could see the screen.
and then just as it shut off,
As well as it showed the Hamilton. What's it? I can't work out which one of them laughed as they watched the two Mercs collide.
Oscar.
It was Oscar, was it? But don't forget that road opened up for him beautifully, didn't it?
Mm.
Because the two Mercs collided. Alonso slowed and went right to try and avoid what was going on. And the road on the inside just opened for Oscar to give him a beautiful drive through into second.
Yeah. I mean,
As I
yeah,
say, it was
okay.
the double podium for the McLaren boys.
I will get onto the whole fact that we did have team orders, and I can't remember if it was during the sprint or the race. We had the team orders.
It was during the race he told them to hold position.
I told Lando to hold position. Don't think he was too impressed, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it was. But then again, I can understand why they didn't want, because they only finished, was it 4 seconds behind Max?
Yes, but why didn't they let Lando through? Lando's got more points on the line than Piastri, or in the drivers' championship, in the drivers' standings.
Yeah, was he trying to drag Piastri up the list? Because I mean, Stroll 1 point ahead of Gasly, 30 something behind. No, sorry, that's Piastri. Norris, Russell 8 points behind him, 4 points behind him. Lando has Leclerc 9 up the road. Oscar's now up to 9th. Lando's 7th. So I think honestly we're trying to give Oscar a gap to Lance, because Lance wasn't scoring today. Or did he score 1 in the end? I think.
Stroll. Race result. Stroll finished 11th.
I think he's got. I thought he got 1 because of penalties and shy, but maybe not.
No. Perez finished
10th. Perez got the last point.
Yeah, but he finished higher up. But because of his penalties, it knocked him down. Because it gave both the Alphas points.
Yeah. You mean the Alfa Romeos or the Alfa Tauris?
Yeah, both the Alfa Romeos points, and then
But yeah, I literally think this, and I think as well. I mean, Oscar, he got the sprint win. I think they were just letting him have a.
hmm,
Plus, like I say, I will go by what I said. They were only 4 seconds behind. Now Max was probably managing pace,
yeah.
but
Uh,
they weren't far away. Max had any issues.
Oh, they'd have been there for
They
the
weren't far away.
no.
You know what I mean? Which probably why they were happy just to hold where they were because it's a great result for them. And like I say, all they were taking is one mistake. I mean, look, we even saw Alonso at one point so far off the track he was nearly in a different city.
Did he get done for his
I don't think he did. I never heard anything.
for his rejoin?
Like I say, we should mention Hamilton got a fine for walking across the track.
Yeah, he got
He got a €50,000 fine, reduced to 25 if there's no further incidents.
mm,
I'm not seeing anything
I just wondered if he did because of the way
unsafe rejoin.
I mean, Jesus Christ, he had to go down the escape road. Down the escape road nearly into Leclerc
Yeah.
at the time, and it was just like you just saw him come back on, and you saw Leclerc, and I was like,
Hmm.
ooh.
Oh yeah, he wasn't good like the way he rejoined. He rejoined the way I normally do in front of Alan.
Yeah. It was one of them quick, but no, fair play to fair play to Max for getting his title. Fair play to the McLaren boys, and
Oscar for getting that win in the sprint.
yeah, I mean fair play.
Well
To
deserved driver of the day as well to me was Oscar.
I voted for him.
Likewise.
I know I give him a lot. I know I give him a lot of shit over the Alpine.
Oh, I still think he'll look back in the past and think he handled that badly.
Mm.
But it's worked for him.
Oh yeah.
That was not handled gentlemanly, shall we say?
But
It's worked.
But looking back on it now, I understand why. Because Alpine had not discussed it with him first. They just assumed.
Yeah. But as you say, we should point out double point score for Alfa Romeo.
Mm.
Like I say, we're at the time of the season now where all these points come to be prize money and it's all important.
Yep.
George getting back to fourth.
Yeah.
That must be a little bit sour to them because that shows what pace that car had.
Yeah.
I think they could have had at least one car on the podium if they hadn't fallen over each other.
They probably would have done, but I don't think it'd have been Hamilton.
Possibly not, but I think
Not with
it destroyed. It definitely destroyed both of us. Also, it's a bit of another kicker to Perez is that Russell got back to fourth.
Yeah.
If he managed to keep it between the white lines, where would he have finished up?
Mm. Yeah. I mean, I have seen videos of Hamilton going up to George and them hugging it out, sort of thing, and I'm thinking, is that for the cameras or is that genuine?
Well, Hamilton did. He part of admitting that he accepted responsibility. He realised it was his. I think was it Russell said like he saw it on a screen or something like that. While driving around, he saw the replay on a screen.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I love the idea that them guys are cruising around watching TV.
Well, it was like going back to one of the races where Alonso managed to see Lance overtake somebody.
Mm.
And it's just. It was an
interesting race. It was an exciting race.
Yeah, but I just don't think.
Let's hope that it being that bit later in the year next year means it's cooler.
Yeah, but I hope that what we saw in terms of like drivers getting ill and all this lot doesn't get repeated. I don't. Like I said, I think that was down to the late tyre call. This late pit stop mandate thing, mandatory
Yeah, but I
free
also
pit
think that
stops.
was the FIA's way to avoid. Can you not remember the American Grand Prix was in the early 2000s where only 6 cars started the grid?
Hmm.
Because when we had 2 tyre manufacturers and one tyre was struggling, and the FIA refused to do anything about it, so all the teams on that tyre pulled the cars at the start of the race.
Well, apart from that, you've got to go. Maybe we go back to the likes of where was the one where we had all the tire incidents?
Silverstone won it. 2005 US Grand Prix it was.
Hmm.
Tyre failures caused all the teams on one particular tyre to not start, on Michelin's to not start. Because Michelin wanted him to put a chicane in the last corner and they wouldn't.
But yeah, we don't. I know the FIA wanted to do safety, but there's a couple of things that there's a couple of decisions made this entire weekend that was a bit like, right, you're a little bit slow there. You could have been a little bit quicker.
Yeah, but
But
we've kind of I said to you before we came on there, you've kind of the FIA aren't going to win in your eyes anyway. But if they make knee-jerk reactions, they're going to make wrong decisions. But at the same time, sometimes you've got to give them a chance to actually review before
yeah, but
they do
then
anything.
there was reviewing, and then there was literally, there was a couple of things like feeling sorry for Oscar getting his
Hmm.
certain bits stripped live on air.
Yeah,
That decision could have been done before that point.
hmm.
It was a bit of a shocker. Is there anything else you want to add before we finish?
No, I think we've covered everything. I think we stayed on topic a little bit better than past, even though it's taken us a while. But no, we covered Sargent, we covered obviously the championships being decided. I think that's everything we've got.
But one final thought from me is obviously we think that this possibly that was possibly Liam Lawson's
Yeah,
last F1 race. I don't think that he is going to return for the next one at quarter.
which is a shame,
But
and I don't fully understand AlphaTauri's decision making on that one. But time will tell.
like I said, I had heard that there's the possibility of Danny Ricciardo coming back for quarter.
Hmm.
Whether it'll happen or not depends on his fitness of his hands.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if he comes back, he'll have to arrive back in quarter in spectacular fashion.
you'd hope if he doesn't do well, questions are going to be asked of like what Liam would have been able to do.
Yeah, he's gonna have to do something because
Yeah,
otherwise it's like, well, why the hell have you got, yes, you've got your seat for 2024. Why did you remove Lawson from said car?
hmm.
When the fact that, okay, he didn't have a good one here
Hmm.
at Qatar, but I do honestly feel that perhaps because of the mandatory free stop race, I think that didn't help. I mean,
Possibly, yeah, because he was allowing him to run harder and faster.
yeah, because the fact that, Yuki didn't, okay, Yuki was 15th, Lawson was 17th. There wasn't much in it
Hmm.
between them. They both got lapped,
Yeah,
but I don't think the situation of maybe the pit stops helped and the tyre, because they didn't know it was going to be a free stop until they said they knew there was a possibility it could be a free stop,
Mm.
but it hadn't been confirmed until Pirelli had done their testing after the
Yeah.
sprint. So it didn't leave them much choice. So I just, like I said,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think that helped Lawson. I don't think the track helped him either. So Danny, if he comes back in quarter, as much as this is going to pain me to say, he's got to do something to impress
Yeah.
even me as a Ricardo fan. Otherwise, it's like, why the hell did you bring him back? Why didn't you just leave Lawson in for the rest of the season, sort of thing. So,
Correct.
yeah.
But
But
no, that's
yeah, I think that's everything
yeah.
for this one. Obviously, don't forget they'll be out on the Fridays like usual. Obviously, you can
Yeah.
get it on your usual places where you get your podcasts. Obviously, if this is the first time listening, obviously, if you do want to, obviously let
Just
us
say
know.
obviously one more time, will you? You've not quite got that word out there enough.
Let us know where
Please,
you
please,
actually
please,
found
folks,
it.
donate through Patreon so I can buy him a thesaurus.
We do have the Patreon, yes.
You know, I will buy him a thesaurus, and you might not use the word obviously 12 times in one sentence.
But you've got Amazon, Spotify, obviously Wisdom. I've said it again. That's not my fault. And
I've got him
yeah,
paranoid about. I
you
love
have,
it when I do this. I've now got him paranoid about it.
you have. So obviously don't forget, for Christ's sake. Uh, it usually doesn't. Usually he only breaks me during YouTube videos, but now it seems like he break me during a podcast and all. So don't forget to obviously like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow the podcast.
And
And
follow the channel as well. Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. He's going to make a triumphant return in the very near future.
yep.
So come and see us there.
And thank you to David for being here.
It's been great to be here, obviously.
There's one more thing we've completely forgot before we wrap this up.
Oh, sugar, yes.
And if I don't,
Not sure if I want to, but oh, sugar, yes.
so the last thing we forgot, and I bet a lot of people were like screaming at us. It's like, you forgot the fantasy league. You didn't do so bad.
I came fourth.
So who screwed you up then? Gwen Hughes.
Williams and Lawson.
Yeah. And
I chose that final fix. I took Zhao out and put Lawson in, thinking he's been performing that well lately. And within half an hour of me doing that, he's in the gravel trap in the sprint race.
I come out
I'm the kiss of sodding death.
and I came out on top.
Yeah, so you've now pulled the gap to me back out to about 500 points.
Yeah, because
Alan's under 200 behind you. He's closing on you.
I know that's the worrying thing, but obviously Max did me the double. Alonso got me points.
Perez lost me 3 points.
Norris and Piastri obviously got me points. Guan Yu Zhou got me some points.
No, see, I took Zhou out. That's the annoying thing.
Yeah.
Put Lawson in and it freaking cost me.
Yeah, Guan Yu Zhou got me points, and obviously Red Bull and McLaren for constructors. So it's done me.
Done you a favour, and it's not looking great for me. But we're not done yet.
Favour. Actually, Alan. Ooh. Hang on. I'm now confused.
Doesn't take a lot.
Why didn't Hamilton lose him negatives? Hamilton didn't give him a negative.
Yeah, but he scored enough positive points. He gained 7 positions in the sprint, 7 overtakes, points for qualifying, and points for his sprint position
But then lost 20. He lost
for
him
not being classified.
20 points.
But he'd obviously scored 26 points before then.
Yeah, so it only gave him 6. He was lucky
Mm.
with that to not lose out.
Oh yeah, it really was.
And obviously he's got Norris, Piastri, and... Why am I still hearing ducks?
I'm pressing that button every time you say that word.
Alright, fair enough.
Every time you say that word, I'm hitting the quack. Why am I hearing ducks? That's going on the t-shirt list.
And then he's got Aston Martin, McLaren, and Alonso. Max.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting worried about that team. Like I say, he's gaining me. And there's enough. Is there enough races there for him to? He could overtake me, couldn't he?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're third there, but you'd have to have some real guns to catch.
Yeah, I need some stuff to go my way, which is not looking promising right now.
I mean, maybe we do another one of these next season if they
Definitely.
if they bring it back.
They're going to bring it back. They're going to keep it. It probably takes that little to do now.
But yeah, well, I'm gonna end this one here. So obviously, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Obviously to the YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Patreon. You can come spot us on there. That would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Obviously, once again, thank you to David for joining.
It's been a pleasure as always.
And we shall see you for the next one. So until then,
So long, and thanks for the ducks.
goodbye for now.